Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on which part of the world you are. I'm Juliana Rabi, and in this live, we are going to talk about remote jobs, the reality of remote jobs, the remote jobs reality. So, this is a topic that I love because things keep changing, the job market, the reality, the things around us, and remote jobs has proven to be one of the things that remain constant, present in our lives more than ever, right? So it's really important to talk about it. I have been working remotely since 2014, so it makes 9 years already, right? Yeah, I'm getting old. And I'm really happy to see that more and more people are not only thinking about remote job for the first time in their lives, but seeing more opportunities for their profiles, for the kind of industries they want to work for, the kind of jobs they do. So it's really exciting times to be alive when it comes to having more flexibility at work and having a life that um, is aligned with your values, with the way you want to spend your time, with where you want to live, with the priorities you have, right? When we think about a couple of generations ago, like my grandparents, for example, I'm 42 at the moment. So my grandfather is 97. Yeah. In his generation, there was no such a thing as satisfaction at work or finding a job that makes you happy or value alignment or a meaningful job. In on his generation, a job was just something to pay the bills, and that's it. You probably would have a stable job, a job like working for the government or to any kind of public sector, and then you would remain in the same job until you retire. And that was the thing that people were dreaming about. There was pretty much the options, right, that were available there. Most of the options were like that. And it was even difficult to think outside of the box and go against the system because there were not that many options. Nowadays, luckily, there are options to work with more flexibility, to work for companies that are not necessarily located in your region, in your city, in your neighborhood. So possibilities are endless, and that's a bit of what we are going to talk here today. Okay, so everyone who is watching live is very welcome. Everyone who is watching the recording, a few people told me they wouldn't be available, they would love to watch it later. So you're also very welcome if you're watching the recording of this LinkedIn Live, okay? I am Juliana Rabi, career coach for remote jobs, and I will talk today about the remote jobs reality, okay? If you are joining live, I would love to know where you are connecting from. So let me know in the chat. There is a chat. You will see it somewhere in your screen, so you can say hi, you can share where you're connecting from. And also, please share your comments during the live, your questions, if something I shared is not clear, if you want to ask something more specific about your situation. So feel free to use the chat. I will check it from time to time. I want to talk to you. I want to make it interactive. Otherwise, it gets a bit boring, me talking alone here. So please use the chat box to talk to me, to share your ideas, your questions, and I'll be happy to answer from time to time, okay? All right, so I will share this presentation that I prepared for you. Let's see, how can I do that? Like this, yes. The remote jobs reality, okay? We are talking about 2023. So many things are happening in the world, in the job market in general. So it's important to understand what is still valid, what is still real, right? What is applicable today when it comes to remote jobs. This will be useful if you are actively searching for a remote job at the moment, maybe this year situation. If you're thinking about doing that in the next couple of months, right, you need a career transition, you need to go for a more flexible job. You haven't started the job search yet, but you want to go for it, so it's also going to be helpful to you. And also, if you're just curious to understand what is going on in our society, in our reality nowadays, you also hopefully get some interesting information from here. Okay, so in this workshop, I want to touch base on some topics, pretty much those 4 topics that I mentioned here. So identify and overcome the most common myths related to remote jobs. So wrong ideas people have about remote jobs. You might have some of them, so let's break them right now. Also get familiar with the different kinds of remote jobs available, so you open up the perspectives that you have for your career, for your the next step, for the options that are out there for you when it comes to remote jobs, right? Also, I want to cover the topic of understanding which option, right? Which one of those remote jobs available, which those possibilities is the best choice for you. So we go from the options and then we narrow down to your specific case. How can you make a better choice, a conscious choice about what is the best remote job for you? And also learn how to find out your path, your journey to start working remotely. So we go from like kind of major things until narrow down to the options, to your specific case, and to help you to have better choice, to make better choices for you to go towards your remote work career. Okay, I'm excited about it. I hope you're also excited. So let me know in the chat, where are you connecting from? If you have any comment, any question, feel free to use the chat and I will check it soon. Okay, so it's important to think about our motivation to land a remote job. Like some people are very clear about it and they know it up front. And when they come talk to me, interested in my services, in my help, they already share that. Like, Juliana, I want to learn a remote job because of this. They have a very compelling, a very clear vision of how their life should look like, why they want a remote job, what is motivating them to land a remote job, to make a career change. So for some people, this is like very clear since the beginning. For others, it might not be that clear. So it's important that you ask this question. And if you want to share in the chat, amazing. I would love to read that. But even if you don't want to share in the chat, that's also fine. But make sure you answer this question to yourself. Like, what is your motivation to land a remote job? What is driving you towards it? Why you care? In other words, right? Why do you care about landing a remote job? How is this going to change your life? Why this is relevant to you? I think it's a very good question to start the whole process of considering a remote job, the job searching, job interviews, and all of that. If you stick with your why, right, your motivation, why you're going towards that, that's going to help you also to remain in the right track when you feel low, when things are not happening as fast as you wanted. So connecting with your why, with your main motivation to land a remote job, is highly recommended. So please answer this question to yourself. And if you want to share in the chat, you are also very welcome. I hear you. Okay, for whatever reason is motivating you to land a remote job. I totally believe it is possible to keep developing your career while you also improve other areas of your life. So luckily, we don't need to choose anymore between a career or a family, a career or living in one specific place, my career or spending time with my family. You don't need to choose one or the other anymore. You can have both if you work remote. And I find it amazing. I don't know about you, but for me, it's like, wow, it's a life changing. No more or this or that. It's like this and that. Instead of or, you're going to use the preposition and. That's amazing, right? Such a life changing. Wow, I love it. Also, you can be a great professional, have time for your family, for your personal plans, for your hobbies, learning a language, traveling, do some volunteering work, raise your kids in a closer way, whatever makes sense to you. A remote job will allow you to do that. And the reason is because when you work remotely, the results you generate, the outcome of your work is more relevant than the time you spend in the office. That's a big shift mindset. So it's not about being seated on a chair in front of a laptop for 8 hours per day. No, it's about what are you doing? What are the results, right? Are you doing your work? Are you meeting the deadlines, accomplishing the things you need to do? That's what remote job is about, results, not anymore time spent over the office. So work is not anymore a place, and you are all welcome to join this reality. I have been living this reality since 2014 already. That's when I started working remotely. I was living in Barcelona in Spain at the time. So it has been 9 years, my journey. You might be starting this journey. That's perfectly fine. You might be a few steps ahead. Maybe you worked a bit remotely during the pandemic. Maybe you recently landed a remote job. So whatever stage you are, there is more out there for you. Let's keep exploring this reality, okay? Let's talk also, of course, about how to land a remote job faster, how to speed up the job searching, because yes, it is possible, and yes, I will help you with that today, okay? Job searching can be exhausting, can be a very long process, and normally it's not very fun. I hear you. So let's see how we can achieve better results in your remote job search in a shorter period of time, okay? And one way to do that is talking about 3 myths related to remote job, wrong ideas, wrong facts related to remote jobs. So you might think like this for now. So let's open up our minds. Let's be open to consider other perspectives that will help you to land a remote job faster. All right. So the myth number 1 related to remote job is that you have more chances to land a remote job if you go for a job interview, right? And you say that you will accept any job as far as it is remote, as long as it is remote. So picture the situation. You made it to the interview, maybe with the recruiter, maybe with the final hiring manager, right? The final interview. You are already in the job interview for that remote job you want. So well done. Congratulations. You already left a lot of competitors behind. And then you go for this interview. In your mind, you might think, look, I need to be flexible because I really want this job. There is a lot of competition and all of that. So I want to show myself as a flexible person. So I'll just say, it doesn't matter which kind of job, as far as it is remote, I'm interested, I'm available. So you might think this is helping you, but actually it's not at all. Why not? Because companies will not hire you just because you want a remote job. This justification, this reason for them to hire you is a very weak reason. Just because you want to work remotely, it means you are the best choice and I should hire you. No way. That's not how companies operate. This is not enough reason. And actually, you are going to look bad if you do that. You're going to show that you don't know what you want. You don't have clarity. You're not taking the job seriously, because it's like, I mean, you come for the interview, you don't really care about this job. You just, searching for anything that is remote. It won't make you look good at all. So remember that saying in a job interview that you want the job, any job, just because it's remote, is definitely not going to help you to land this job. It's going to give a very bad impression about you. So instead of that, please pay attention to it. You might want to take a print screen of this slide, or take a photo to remember that later when you go for your next remote job interview. Okay, so it's really important that you get clarity about your career goals and the kind of remote jobs you could do. We'll talk more about it later in the presentation, but remote jobs, they are very diverse, right? They can change completely. One remote job can be totally different from another remote job. So you need to understand what makes sense in your career goals. What is the next career step for you right now? And then consider the kind of remote jobs that you could do. Again, like, you need to meet at least some of the requirements. You need to have some experience probably related to that job. So it's not just like, I saw a remote job, I apply for it, and I cross my fingers it's going to work out. The chances are very low. You're going to waste your time and your energy in the wrong direction. So clarity will help you a lot here. And then being realistic, right? I think it's important to understand the profile you have, the skills you have, the requirements the position have. So be realistic. It's nice to dream. I am a dreamer, but I also like to keep things real when it comes, especially when it comes to remote jobs, because there is a lot of expectation, a lot of time involved and energy. So being realistic will help you to identify the best remote jobs, and then you use your time and energy to apply for those jobs, to move forward in the process. So be realistic with the process. And it's important to consider what I mentioned already, like your previous work experience, the studies you have, similar industries. It doesn't mean that if you work in one industry, you must remain that industry forever. No, no, thanks God not. People change industries, but consider similar industries. If you're happy, still happy working in that industry, there might be an easier way to land a job in the same industry that you have experience, but you can definitely change and pivot your career. Consider your studies, consider your interests. Like you might have experience in one area, but you hate it. You're like done with that. You have worked, I don't know, as customer service for 10 years. And like, Juliana, I'm great at it, but I don't want to work with customer services anymore. That's fine. But then don't apply for a customer service position just because it is remote. You understand what I'm saying? You won't be happy in a job just because the job is remote. If you're not interested in the job, if you don't meet the requirements, if you don't have experience, things do not work out to you. So be realistic, get clarity, and consider your background before applying for any job just because it is remote. All right. Myth number 2 related to remote jobs. This one is very common actually. It's about quantity, right? This idea that the more remote jobs I apply for, the higher the chances I will have to land a remote job. So it's kind of a numbers game, right? If I apply for 10, 15, ideally 20 jobs per day, I'm going towards the right direction. So it's just a matter of time to land a remote job, right, Juliana? No, not right. So pay attention in this photo. It's not only about quantity, but it's also about quality. So this is a very common mistake. The more remote jobs I apply for, the higher the chances to land a remote job. So let's talk about it. Why this is not true is because this is what most of people do. Most of job seekers, and if you know anyone searching for jobs, you can just ask like, how many jobs are you applying per day? And people normally are very proud to say, I'm applying for at least 10 jobs per day because that's what works, right? No, that's not what works, but that's what most people do. They think that it's a numbers game. The more remote jobs I apply for, the higher the chances I have to land a remote job. There is even a funny name. Oops, there is a typo mistake here. It's written 2021, but it's obviously 2023. I mean, it was not effective in 2021, but even less here. So just ignore the 2021 and read it as 2023. The main idea here is to say that the spray and pray technique is not effective anymore in 2021, 2022, and 2023. The spray and pray technique is a funny name to refer to exactly what I'm talking about. You apply to as many jobs as possible, right? So you kind of spray your resume like a graffiti spray. So like spray it all over. And then you pray, you just wait, that companies will contact you back and invite you for a job interview. This is not effective anymore, not in 2021, not in 2022, not in 2023. But still a lot of people think that this is effective. This is the way to go. This is how they learned to do job search, right? Apply, 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 and then at some point, the company will contact you back. But believe me, this is a myth. This is not effective anymore. If you are already applying for remote jobs, you probably notice what I'm going to share here. The number of applicants, the number of candidates, right, for a single remote job position is normally very high, very high. It's normal to see like 200 people applying for a remote job, a single position I'm talking about. And after only one day that the job was posted, 500 applicants in 3 days, it's crazy. So if you keep just applying for jobs, you're just gonna be one more number out there, number 372. You don't want to do that. So please open up your mind to do something different than just applying for jobs. It's not a numbers game anymore. Okay. Instead of that, I invite you to try to think outside of the box and think from the beginning, even before you apply for a remote job. Okay. Ask yourself, how can I cause a positive impact in the recruiter and or in the hiring manager? How can I differentiate from all the other 500, 300, whatever number of candidates already applied for this job? And one way to do it is through network and referrals. Okay, you can and you should, and I invite you to network with people working in the remote companies you want to work for. Therefore, when you apply for the job, they will know you already. It won't be the first time they receive your resume or the first time they see your name. They know you already. That happens through Strategic network, focus on the company, on the remote companies you want to work for. Also referral. Referral, if you're not familiar with this term, is when someone networks in the company you want to work for, they present your resume to HR or to the hiring manager. So instead of going through the traditional job application process, which is you see a job offer, you apply for it, and you just wait for someone to hopefully contact you, someone from the company knows you, trusts you, likes you, see your potential in this person, speed up the process and present your resume directly to human resources, okay? So it's a faster way to get there. Very effective, by the way. So think outside of the box, differentiate yourself from the other applicants, increase, improve, work on your networking and on your referrals, okay? So forget about the more remote jobs I apply for, the more effective it's gonna be, the better results I'm gonna have. And myth number 3 is also very common. I mean, I get it. I partially get it, but let's just, keep things clear and real here. The myth is the wrong information. Level position. No. This is not true, because even if you don't have remote work experience, I mean, you do have a profession, you do have skills, you have work experience into something, you have knowledge. So you are a professional. Whatever you bring to the table is a metaphor, right? Whatever you bring to the new company that is hiring you is related to everything you did in your career before, even if you didn't work remotely before. So it's 2 different things. Having remote work experience, which is great, and companies will highly appreciate it. But there is the other side of the story, which is I have a lot of work experience, I have skills, I have my background, I have my experience that is not remote. I get it, but it's also valid. So don't ignore that, don't minimize that. You don't need to start from scratch just because you didn't work remotely before. This is wrong. This is not how things work, okay? Change your mind, embrace all your experience, all your knowledge, all your skills, because you are a professional. I don't know you specifically, but I'm sharing that because I spoke to job seekers who had like 20 years experience, and they're like, yeah, I might consider an internship in a remote company or a very entry-level job. I was like, why? And they said, because I never worked remotely. So if this is your case, if it resonates with you, please start shifting your mindset, because your background, your previous work experience, all of that can be and should be used in your own benefit. So it's not automatically going to a junior position just because I don't have work experience working remotely, okay? All good until now. If someone has any question, any comment to mention in the chat, feel free to do it. I will keep going, but I'll read the chat. So just, yeah, feel free to say where you're connecting from, comment if something I shared is not clear, or if you want to ask something specifically about the reality of remote jobs, I'm here to answer. I will check the chat very soon, all right? Yeah, just to finish this part, instead of assuming that you need to go for entry-level remote job just because you don't have remote work experience, instead of that, you should try to find a job related to your area of expertise, right? So let's imagine you have been working as a product manager, a project manager, yes, a project manager before, 10 years, whatever. The easiest way to start working remotely is finding a job in the same industry, in the same area, similar job title, right? Because you bring all the experience you have, and you have this on your own benefit when you're interviewing for the position, applying for the position, all of that. Of course, this applies in case you still like working as a project manager. If you say, Juliana, I need a career change, I'm done with that stage of my life, I don't want to be a project manager anymore, then in this case, don't look for a job related to the area you have experience. In this case, check if you worked in something different before that. Oh yes, actually, before being a project manager, I was an English teacher. I would love to do that again. So explore among the different jobs you did along your career, if there is something you like, something you have experience, and then you can explore that possibility. What if I work in what I worked previously, but now remotely? So this is one easy way to do this transition. Also, yeah, as I said, check in the past all the things you have done, or even skills you have learned. Maybe it was not your job title, but you're doing a lot of, I don't know, direct contact with clients and selling the projects and all of that. So you're not a salesperson, but you're doing that and you had good results and you wouldn't mind doing that again. So you can explore that. So it doesn't need to be only the job title you had before, but tasks you did previously, things you got experience, skills you have. You can also try to find equivalent jobs, remote jobs, to use your background, your skills, okay, based on your previous work experience. And yeah, if there is something you have done before that could be done remotely, well, go for it, but not for entry level positions. Go for a position that is similar to the one you have now, or hopefully even higher, so you can even have a career promotion. Okay, and now let's talk about something important here, right? We spoke a bit about remote jobs. The three myths that are very common, that you won't be confused or misled by them anymore. But now there is another important thing that I want to bring to your attention, okay? Not all remote jobs will allow you from a beach in Thailand. Yes, I will say that again because it might be the first time you're hearing that. So let me just make sure you understand that not all remote jobs will allow you to work from a beach in Thailand, or from Maldives, or from, you know, paradise somewhere. Not all remote jobs will allow you to do that. The fact is that not all remote jobs are the same. And when you start searching for remote jobs, you really need to define your priorities, how you want your life to look like. If you check this photo, that's me. In the previous one, the girl working from a beach in Thailand, it was not me. I also have photos working in Thailand, but that was not me. This one, it's me, as you can clearly see my curly hair and all of that. This photo was taken last year in Croatia. I was attending a digital nomad event, and I was sharing the apartment with two other friends who were also working remotely, right? So at that specific date, I remember one was working from the table in the living room, making phone calls. Another one was working from her room, and this was my room. So I didn't have a table, and I don't like to work from my bed. I prefer to have a table. So I was like, what am I going to use as a table? And I saw this ironing table, and I was like, okay, at least I can regulate the height, right? And I used an ironing table to work remotely. So it's a so I kicked something under the table here. It's a funny photo I wanted to share, but it's a real photo. So we need to understand that remote jobs, like working remotely, is not always fancy and from the beach and like paradise places. Sometimes you're going to be working in Croatia from your room using an ironing table as your work table. That's the real life. And it all comes down to identifying your priorities. So you, as a job seeker, as someone who wants to work remotely, I invite you, strongly invite you, to think about your priorities in life and in your career. I have some questions to help you with that. Okay, so let's read the questions so you can think about them. Do you want to have flexibility and autonomy to create your own agenda and working hours? Is this something you care about? Flexibility, autonomy. Do you like to be in charge of, I schedule my calls, I define what time I'm working. Maybe I'm a night person, so I prefer to start working like after 4 p.m. Or no, I'm a day person. I wake up at 6 a.m. That's me. That's my case. I like to wake up early and work out, and then do my work early at night. Useless. So do you like to have this flexibility and autonomy? This is a question for you to consider. Okay. Another question, are you focusing on working in one specific industry or job role? Like, do you have clarity about, Julian, I'm targeting this position in this industry, or no? Or you're more open, or you don't know yet, or you have like maybe 2 or 3 possible industries and job titles. So are you very clear about one specific job role and industry, or you have flexibility about it? Also important to answer this question, okay? Do you want to make a certain amount of money, right? I mean, we all work for money, right? There are other things involved, but we are not talking about volunteering. We are talking about a job. So there is always money involved. So do you have an amount in mind that you're looking for? Like, look, this is the minimum salary I'm considering. I won't accept anything lower than that. Or are you flexible with that? So also important to reflect about the money situation, right? When you are searching for a job. And another question that it's important is like, do you want to travel and work at the same time? Is this something you care about? Is this something that is a priority for you, or not really? It's like, Juliana, I just want to work from home and be able to pick up my kids at school, or I want to work from, you know, my city, and sometimes, I don't know, I go visit friends or my parents and I work from there, but this traveling thing all the time, it's not my thing. I'll travel like a month per year. That's more than enough. So please answer those questions to yourself, because they will help you to prioritize the kind of remote job you should look for to allow you to live life the way you want to live. Do you understand why I'm sharing those questions? Depending on your answer, you should go to one kind of remote job that will allow you to live your life like that. Depending on your answers, you should go to another kind of remote job. So it is important. It's all connected, okay? It might seem like, why is Juliana talking about those questions? Because when you answer them sincerely, you understand which lifestyle you want to have and which kind of remote job will support you in this lifestyle, all right? So some facts here for us to be on the same page about remote work. Some companies, they will not let you work from outside of your country, okay? So some companies, they offer remote job, but you need to work within the country, okay? Sometimes you can work from a different state, from a different city. Sometimes no, you gotta be in that city, in that state. But yes, it's true. You like it or not, we like it or not, but some remote companies, they will allow you to work remotely as long as you are within that specific country. That's the reality. Also, some countries will require that you are working on a specific time zone. So they will not authorize you to work from a different time zone. So let's imagine that you're providing services in the UK time zone, right? London time zone. You need to be on that time zone. You cannot be in a different time zone because you need to work on that time zone. So there is a time zone restriction, right? Some companies will let you work from anywhere in the world without problem. So you can travel and work. You can be in different countries, and you can also be in different time zones. So if you see those three realities, they're very different from each other, right? And they're all still remote companies, right? So that's why the questions I mentioned before are important, because you understand which kind of remote job, which reality among all the remote work options are doable for you, are going to make you happy, because they will allow you to live the way you want, right? So once you know that, you are getting closer to understand which kind of remote job is the best choice for you. Hopefully by now you understand already that not all remote jobs will suit you. So you understand that you need to narrow down, get more clarity, and understand the reality you want to live, how you want your life to look like, to see which kind of remote job suits you for that, okay? I have a comment here in the chat. Let me read that. Nilesh, Dr. Nilesh Patil, thanks for the comment. Hi, Julian, I'm Dr. Nilesh from India. Are there any remote job opportunities to work remotely from India for a healthcare industry located abroad? Well, that's a very specific question. I like the specificity because you seem to know the industry that you want to work for. You mentioned healthcare industry, and you want to work for a remote company outside of India. Nice. I like the specificity of your question. I don't know your profile, but some questions that come to my mind are like, do you have experience in healthcare industry? And also which kind of remote jobs within the healthcare industry you're targeting, because identifying an industry that you want to work for is great, but you still need to narrow down to possible job titles, ideally the job title that not only seems appealing to you, like interesting, but also that you have the qualification. That's another thing, right? Do you have experience? Do you have studies? Have you done this job before? So industry is good. You already identify healthcare. Now you need to identify the job title that is aligned with your experience, with your skills, and all of that. That said, I would need to check more in details. Like, I don't have a list of companies to tell you those are the 5 companies from abroad that are hiring for healthcare industry at the moment, right? This is a bit more complex. But once you know what you're looking for, the search is going to be easier. So try to narrow down also to job title, okay? And when you say abroad, would you be happy to work for a company in any country, or do you have a preference about it? Normally people are flexible about the country, but sometimes I got clients who are like, I want to work for an American company, I want to work for a company located in Europe, whatever preference for different reasons. So Nilesh, try to narrow down a little bit, but it's hard for me to just tell you like 5 companies right now, because I would need to understand better your profile and do a proper job search with you. But you are on the right path, narrowing down the industry. And now please go to job titles and jobs, right, that meets your profile. So how to understand which kind of remote job is the best choice for you? Important question, right? Let's see if we can answer that, or at least get closer to an answer about it. It's important to reflect about the lifestyle you want to have. I mentioned that a few times already, but I want to share 4 questions that will help you in this process. So please take a photo of this slide or a print screen or whatever, because you need some time to answer those questions. So it's not like read and answer automatically. You probably need to digest it a little bit, but they are very helpful questions. So where do you want to live physically, right? Where? How do you want to spend your day? Which are your priorities? And also, who else is involved in your plans? Family, kids, friends, a certain people who are in a certain location. So all those questions will help you to have a better understanding of the lifestyle you want to have, and it will help you to make better choices regarding which kind of remote job will allow you to live life like that, okay? Because definitely, like a remote job, one of the reasons of landing a remote job, at least the way I understand that, is that the remote job should support the life you want to have, should allow you, should make it easier for you to live life the way you want. So it's a big change of mindset and perspective, because until a while ago, and for some people until today, right, life is created around work. So if they land a job in one institution, in one place, they'll try to find a place to live close to that place, right? They will look for a gym, like a gymnastic, close to that place. They will go to the supermarket close to it. They will only make plans with their friends after work because they are very busy. So the life is around work. When you work remotely, you shift that thing, and your work happens around your life. So because you can take work with you, right? In this photo, that's me also. I was in where was I? Which airport was it? I was going to Barcelona. So I don't know if I was in London. I don't remember. So I was going to Barcelona. I know because I can see the name in the gate. I was traveling to Barcelona, right? I think it was from Bulgaria. Yeah, I think it was last summer. The fact is, I was waiting for my plane, and I had to work a little bit. So I just picked up my computer in the airport lounge, and I was working from there. I don't recommend doing that if you have phone calls, because the announcements of the flight was very noisy. It's not a good choice for calls, but I bring work with me. So I had to travel. It was a weekday. I had some work to do. So I was just doing that, a bit of that at least, while I was waiting for my flight. So my life my work supports the lifestyle I want to have, and not my life is all around work. So this is the possibility that you also have if you start working remotely. So to do that, you need to be sincere with yourself, right? You need to answer the questions I mentioned before to really, really, really understand which kind of life you want to have. And then when you are sincere with yourself, you will be able to define easily your career, right? The life goals that you have, short-term goals like for the next 6 months, a year, long-term goals in the next 5 years, 10 years. And then only after then, you will be more ready to search for a remote job that supports your plan. So you see how complex it is, but at the same time, how simple it is. If you just start applying for jobs without any criterion, just remote jobs, any remote job is fine, there is a high risk that you're wasting your time and your energy, because then you're going to land a remote job that is not making you happy, that doesn't let you live the way you want to live. So it's important to take this step back, think about what life I want to live, what excites me, what makes me happy, what do I want to do with my free time, where do I want to be, what time do I want to work. And then once you have this clarity, you go to finding a remote job that supports your lifestyle plans. Okay, this is very important. So if you take only one thing from this presentation, I hope you can take that. Okay. Imagine that for you, your perfect lifestyle, like what you envision for you, is to be able to pick up your kids at school, or to drop kids at school, or do both things, right? To do in a weekday. You want to see your kids growing. You want to spend more time with them. You like to walk them or drive them to school. Sounds good, right? So in this case, think with me here, you actually don't need a remote job that allows you to work from anywhere in the world, because if you want to be in your house, in your city, your kids are going to school, you won't be traveling all the time. So you don't need a job that offers all this flexibility. You can focus on jobs that allow you to work from home, right? You might have even more options when you search for that. But why would you search for that? Because it is enough for the lifestyle you want to have. It allows you to live the lifestyle you want to have. On the other hand, if you want to travel and work at the same time, that's the choice I made. I travel and work from different countries, right? I'm moving quite often. In my case, I should never waste my time searching for jobs, remote jobs that requires me to be in one specific country or city or state. Why not? Because then I won't be able to travel. And for me, traveling is important. So you see how it works. When you know what you're looking for, then you know which kind of remote jobs will support the lifestyle you want to have. Okay. And then how to find out your path to start working remotely, right? You understood that clarity is important. You need to picture your life. You need to understand the different jobs available, the flexibility they will offer you. And then you start searching. Okay, you got that part. But then how do you start this journey, right? To actually land a remote job and start working remotely. Very, very important question. This photo, it's me also. This was in Bulgaria. Yes, last year I recognized my apartment from there. Yes, my hair was shorter there. Yes. How to find out your path to start working remotely? Question mark, important question, very relevant question. Let's talk about it, right? And also how to stop feeling stuck and confused about remote jobs, because there is so much noise, so much information, sometimes even contradictory. So it's common, unfortunately, to feel stuck and confused about remote jobs. But let's see if I can help you to remove the stuck feeling and the confusion. Okay. You probably are asking yourself at that point, like, how do I find out my path to start working remotely, right? How do I stop all the bad feelings, the low self-esteem, the doubt, and the consideration that I might never land a remote job. This might not be for me. Maybe this is for other people working in IT or from other countries, right? So you start even doubting if you will ever land a remote job. So I know how it works. I know this starts here, but it affects everything in your life, and it probably will stop you from searching for remote jobs. So before it happens, let's just cut down those negative thoughts and understand how to make the first steps towards landing a remote job. Okay, I brought some practical steps here for you. I want to make it easier and very applicable. So first step, we spoke about it before, but just to put in an order, right, to make sure that you don't forget anything. And if you're taking notes, that's a great moment to also write it down. First, please identify the flexibility level you are looking for, right? How flexible the remote job you want to land next need to be to support the lifestyle you want to have, to let you live life the way you want. This is step number one, okay? Step number two is identify the non-negotiable elements, the non-negotiable aspects that must be present in your next remote job. In other words, what are the things that you really, really, really care about in your next jobs? In your next remote job, you might be flexible about some things, but not about other things. So these are the things I'm talking about, the ones that are must for you. Like those things, it doesn't matter which kind of remote job I get, they need to be present there. So those are called non-negotiable elements or aspects. Let me share some examples to make it easier for you to understand if it was not clear, if it's not clear yet. So for example, you might say, look, Juliana, in my next remote job, the next step of my career, I want to be a manager. It's time for me. I like leadership, I like management, I feel ready. Okay, so you want to be a manager. That's a non-negotiable element for you. You need to find a remote job that allows you to be a manager. I get it. Good for you. You have clarity. That's going to help you in the next, right? Also, you might say, I want a creative job. I don't want to do the same task over and over again. I don't like just repetitive thing. Great, great. If you want a creative job, this is something that is non-negotiable for you, and you're going to search for that when you start looking for a remote job. Are you getting now? Is it more clear now? Some people will say, look, it's important for me to use my experience in, I don't know, in hospitality. I worked for a long time in hospitality, so I want to keep using that in my next job. Great, great. That's it. That's a non-negotiable aspect for you. So you go search for a remote job that allows you to use your background, your experience in hospitality. Very good. Some people will have a non-negotiable aspect related to the salary. Juliana, for the life I live, for the expenses I have, for the plans I have in my career, I need a minimum of this amount of salary. That's great. That's great. So you automatically eliminate all the other remote jobs that doesn't pay that, and you go for that jobs that offer that salary or above. So this is what I'm talking about. Okay, non-negotiable elements or aspects are the things that yes or yes, you want to have them in your next remote jobs. Then with this level of clarity, it's time to finally, not before it, just now, to use your resume and LinkedIn profile to market yourself, to sell yourself as the best candidate available in the market. Okay, so resume and LinkedIn are extremely important in this process. But again, if you don't know what you're looking for, the message you're sharing on those documents, you'll probably be confused. So please follow the order that I'm sharing with you, because I tested already this order with my clients and it worked out very well. So now it's time to focus on your resume and LinkedIn profile once you have the clarity that we spoke previously, right? And then you need to block time in your agenda, to make the time, to create the time to actually dedicate to your remote job search. Let me tell you this, if you're just searching casually for remote jobs, that's fine. If you just do it whenever you have time, that's also fine. Sunday afternoon, if you're not busy, if you're not taking a nap, you search here and there for remote jobs, that's fine. That's okay. But this is not going to bring you results faster. This is not the most effective way to search for remote jobs. If you want to be effective, if you want to shorten up the time you spend on job searching, right, for months and months, if you want to make it shorter, you need to make time and make the most of the time to job search. Book time in your agenda. Block time to dedicate to job search, because you get busy with other things. Life happens. Life will not stop for you to search for a remote job. So you need to create time in your life, in your agenda, to dedicate to job search, okay? And then at some point, fingers crossed, you're gonna start landing job interviews. Company will want to talk to you because you know what you want. You look amazing in your resume, in your LinkedIn profile, you're putting the time, doing the work. It's just a natural consequence that you will start landing remote job interviews. So it's time to prepare that, okay? Prepare, rehearse for that, reflect about it. So the success of a remote job interview has a lot to do with how you prepare for it. So don't just, oh, I'm good at interviews, I've done several job interviews before, I can just improvise. I mean, you can, but that's not the optimal way. So I suggest that you get ready for the job interviews, that you prepare for that, okay? And also that you learn how to negotiate the salary you deserve, the benefits you deserve, right? So don't just assume that whatever salary the company offered me, I'm going to accept because I need a job, I'm desperate for money. Change your mindset, okay? You are a qualified professional, you have a lot to offer. So it's normal, it's a normal step into the recruitment process that you, once you receive a job offer, you negotiate that with the company. How to do it? Well, you need to learn, right? That could be another live here, how to negotiate a better salary, a higher salary, and benefits. But this is something that you should also know that is available, the salary negotiation part, and then prepare yourself for that, okay? And last but not least, believe that you can land a remote job. I will say that again because it's a short phrase, but it might be hard to digest for some people. Believe that you can land a remote job. Some people, they start doubting if they will be able to land a remote job because the job search is taking longer than they expected, because they hear a lot of no's, because they have been unemployed for a long time. And look, I hear you. I totally hear you. I know it can be a struggle. But if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe that you deserve, that you're capable, that you're good enough to land a remote job, nothing will happen, okay? You need to believe in yourself first, even if the situation is not ideal at the moment. So people who land remote jobs, pay attention to this. They are not necessarily the best professionals in the market. They are not necessarily better than others. So don't think like, oh, because you have 15 years of experience, I only have 10, it means that you're going to be hired before me, or they're going to only hire you, not me. No, 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 no. Not necessarily the best professionals are the ones who land remote jobs for three simple reasons. The ones who land remote jobs, they found a way to get visibility to remote companies and remote recruiters. They were networking with those companies. They were interacting with them. Those companies know they exist. So you might be amazing, but there is not even a single remote company out there that knows that you exist. So how they are ever going to hire you if they don't know you exist? So people who land remote jobs, they found a way to get visibility to the remote companies they want to work for. Remember that, visibility to the remote companies you want to work for. Also, professionals who land a remote job, they follow the steps of other people who landed remote jobs. Look, let me tell you this, you don't need to start from scratch. You don't need to create a brand new thing. If there are methodologies that are already tested. What I use with my clients when they hire me to help them to land a remote job, I already tested them with hundreds of other clients. So I'm not starting from scratch. My clients are not starting from scratch. They use the methodology I created. That's what I help my clients with. So you also don't need to start from scratch and be wonder like, oh my goodness, how do I start searching for a remote job? You don't need to ask yourself this question. Follow the steps of people, professionals who landed a remote job. You follow, you model, you copy, because if it works for them, with some small twists, it will probably also work for you. So you don't need to figure it out it all alone. There are professionals out there like me and others that help you to land a remote job because they created a methodology to do it, okay? And please don't give up when you receive the first no, when you receive the second no, when you receive no number 5. There will be no's on the way. Let me tell you this, okay? But the yes will come at some point. If you give up in the first no, in the second no, you never hear the yes. So remember, it's a long-term game. You need to be persistent. You need to keep doing. So don't give up when you receive the first no, okay? And if you are watching live, or even if you are watching the recording, feel free to share in the chat, like, your main takeaway from this presentation, one idea, one thing that was valid for you, that resonated with you, one thing that you feel you can implement immediately to or get more clarity in your job search, or to move faster, or to connect more with remote companies, or to understand your career path. So let me know. I would love to read in the chat your main takeaway, your main learning from this presentation, from this live today. So if you want to share that, feel free to do it. I will love to read that. Yes, let me, there are some more comments here in the chat from Dr. Nilesh Patil. Let me see. Okay, he's saying that he has experience working in the healthcare industry, right? That he mentioned he was looking for. And then he said there are some fake websites, yeah, that pretend to provide remote jobs. Yes, that's true. I actually have a video in my YouTube channel talking about how to identify scams in remote jobs. Okay, you can check Juliana Rabi, my YouTube channel. Also on LinkedIn, I also share the specific handle for that, but you can search for my name on YouTube, and I have one specific video about how to identify remote job scam, right? Like fake remote jobs. Check it there, because it's extremely sad when people lose money, lose time, their hope with fake remote jobs out there. That's not what I want for anyone out there. So you can check my YouTube video to know more about it, okay? This live will be available in my LinkedIn profile. So if you want to watch again, if you're watching the recording, it's obviously because it is available in my in my LinkedIn profile. So yeah, even if you're watching live now, you can watch again if you want. It will be available in my LinkedIn profile, okay? Thank you, everyone who watched until the end. I really appreciate your time, and I hope it was valid. It was helpful to you in your journey towards remote jobs. I'm available if you want to talk more and see how I can help your specific case. If you want to hire my services, I'm a career coach. I help professionals to land a remote job faster. I have different services that I offer to help with that. So if you want to hire my services, if you want to know how I can help, send me a message on LinkedIn. Let's talk. And I'll see you next week for my next LinkedIn Live. Hi, Rafael. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Yeah, here in the live. So thanks for everybody who watched this live. And I will see you somewhere on LinkedIn, or maybe in my next live next week. Okay? Take care. Have a nice day, or afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are. Take care. Bye. Thanks for watching.